Hello, and welcome to Unexplained Possibilities in case you missed it for April 2024. Here, we gather up some weird and offbeat stories that mostly happened throughout the current month that you might not have heard about. So let's not waste any time and jump right into it. Have you ever heard of something called a vampire facial? Don't worry, I haven't either until seeing this story. Apparently, it's a cosmetic process that's way less expensive and intrusive than, say, getting a facelift. Blood is drawn from a person's arm and then platelets are separated out and applied to the person's face using micro needles. Can't say this is something I'm interested in, but people do weird things in the name of beauty. However, 3 women are regretting trying out this vampire facial. At an unlicensed spa in New Mexico, which has since been closed down, 3 women received the vampire facial and came away getting something else they didn't plan for or want. This spa was clearly unsanitary as the women were infected with HIV. And that's thanks to non-sterile injections. Marie Ramos de Ruz is the former owner of the non-licensed spa who was sentenced to 3.5 years in prison for practicing medicine without a license, as well as creating fake certificates and even a fake degree from the University of Phoenix. She will also have to pay restitution to the women who were infected with HIV from the spa. How much she'll have to pay has not been stated. So this is a weird one, and introduced me to something that I didn't know was a thing. A Belgian man gets arrested for drunk driving, but here's the kicker. He claims he didn't have a single thing to drink. When breathalyzer exams were given, it showed he was well over the limit. The guy's defense was that his body made alcohol and he hadn't had a drink. The cops didn't believe him and took him in. Well, many headaches later, the man was acquitted of all charges because, as it turns out, his body actually does create alcohol. The man has been diagnosed with the rare condition called autobrewery syndrome. Fewer than 100 cases have been reported of this. According to doctors, this isn't a condition a person is born with, but it's something that develops over time and caused by other intestinal issues. So, essentially, this disorder causes the stomach's natural yeast to produce ethanol and causes people to develop certain syndromes of being drunk, such as slurred speech and problems with walking, and an increase in the blood alcohol level. Luckily for the Belgian man, this condition saved him from some lengthy jail time and a big fine. Also, funnily enough, the man just so happens to work at a brewery. What are the chances of that? This pink red-haired woman is Rebecca Lowe, and I feel she was done dirty. Rebecca is a mother of 4 in the UK, and she got into an argument with neighbors because they let their dog poop on her yard and didn't clean it up. Things escalated, and the neighbor, along with her daughter, went over to Rebecca, who was on her own property, and they grabbed her by the hair and dragged her a few feet, attacking her. Rebecca was able to grab a wooden pole to defend herself. The mother and daughter left, but shortly after, a male, who is believed to be the boyfriend of the neighbor, came by and was standing at the gate to Rebecca's property. Rebecca got the wooden pole and tried to scare the man off. The man didn't budge and seemed to be amused. That's when Rebecca went inside and came out brandishing a katana. This would have the desired effect of scaring the man off, but the consequences of the cops being called, and where I believe things become amazingly unfair. You see, Rebecca has a criminal record, and on that record is a knife offense. This offense comes from a few years back when a teenage boy was vandalizing her car and breaking windows. Rebecca went out to scare the kid and had a 9-inch knife and told him she'd slice him from ear to ear. This also had the desired effect, but the kid was so scared his parents called the cops, and Rebecca was charged and convicted on offenses of threatening behavior and possession of a blade in a public place. Which is crazy in my opinion, since the brat was damaging her property. But because of that, Rebecca was arrested. She was convicted of possession of an offensive weapon and sentenced to 12 months community service and 20 hours rehabilitation activity. She also had to pay £234 in costs and victim surcharge. It's totally bogus to me. As for her neighbors, they received a caution. Now, I had to look this up because I've never heard of a caution in the sense of criminal activity or dealing with police. What this means is that the people admitted to doing wrong and it's on record. So if they do something dumb in the future, this caution could be used against them. But in the present, nothing happens. No charges, no restitution. They're treated as the victims. Now, how in the world is that fair? Okay, so sometimes you just have an itch in the pants and you need it scratched. Well, for an 85-year-old Florida man, he's probably wishing he just lived with that itch. The guy was driving and was approached by a prostitute who said she can scratch his itch. And with his itch being so bad, he said, "Why the heck not? What's the worst that can happen?" Well, after everything was said and done, the prostitute stole his car. The car was reported stolen, and within minutes, deputies found the car and pulled it over. Sure enough, the prostitute was behind the wheel and she was arrested. Turns out this was the second car she had stolen this month. Not only that, but with her was a stolen purse, stolen ID cards, and 5 stolen cell phones. Clearly, prostitution is her side gig because her first gig is being a thief. Now, this is where things become a little muddy. The 85-year-old man was brought to the station and questioned. He was asked if he wanted to press charges, which he was reluctant to do, saying he was ashamed and needed to speak to his daughter. Well, the prick deputies told him that he'll be arrested for driving without a license, which then the 85-year-old man decided to press charges against the prostitute. Totally ridiculous and an abuse of power, in my opinion. The prostitute was charged with carjacking, unlawful possession of stolen debit card, and unauthorized possession of a driver's license. She is currently in the cell with Big Bertha, and, well, she's probably going to be in there for a while. It's raining gold. No, seriously, it's raining tiny gold crystals, which are worth about $6,000. However, there's a catch. You'll need to head off to Antarctica and climb Mount Erebus, which is an active volcano. The volcano shoots out plumes of gas and steam and pops out boulders of partially molten rock known as volcanic bombs. Honestly, volcanic bomb sounds like something out of a video game. Also sounding like something out of a video game is the tiny crystals of gold that comes from the burst of gas that shoots out of the volcanic bombs. So if you want to get rich quick, head over to Antarctica, climb 18,000 feet up Mount Erebus, Dodge some volcanic bombs, try not to inhale the gases, watch for lava, and collect the gold. Sounds simple enough, right? Finally, if you haven't heard, I created a tarot deck. Yep, I decided to put my creative mind to the test, and the results came out pretty good, I think. The deck is called the Tarot of Neofiction, and it is now available for purchase. The deck is a more modern take on the Rider-Waite and follows the RWS system with some slight differences. I promise you, it'll be easy to pick up, understand, and become the master of. Also, the art really pops in my opinion, which admittedly is biased. If you'd like your own copy of the Tarot of Neofiction, be sure to check the description below, and if you're just curious on what all the cards look like, check out the long version of the flip-through also in the description below. And that concludes In Case You Missed It for April 2024. Thank you all for watching, and if you have your own offbeat stories, feel free to share it with us in the comment section down below, or share it with us on social media. You can find those links in the description. Thank you all for watching, and we will be seeing you in May.